Chinda. Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo saranto suchedoye alahadi samyao sanputoshe. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa bai qian wan jie nan zao yu. Wo jin jian wen de shou chi yuan jie ru lai. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, Shifu Shangren, Goi Shishung Daja, Aumi Tofo. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. Today is October 26th. It's a Saturday night. We're here in Berkeley, California, and all of the ducks are lined up. We've got translators in Australia sending Mandarin sounds over to China. We have YouTube listeners around the planet. We've been going up into 70 per lecture these days. People being able to watch from wherever they are, the comfort of their own laptop or iPad or iPhone. That's a good thing. And we have a room full of Dharma friends right here in Berkeley who are listening either in English or in Vietnamese. We have a Vietnamese translation up in the balcony for folks who would like to hear Vietnamese. And our Sangha is assembled. Jin Hosher is on his way back. Today we had a picnic work party down in Boulder Creek at our property in the Santa Cruz Redwoods, and we all made it back. And lots of folks who were there are here tonight with us. And the weather, the meteorological context, how about that? The weather for tonight is pretty dramatic. The newspaper is talking about an unprecedented, never before happened storm bearing down on us here in the Bay Area with winds of 80 miles an hour, which compared to Florida hurricanes doesn't sound like a lot, but is a big deal for us, especially when those winds are what is known up north here where we are as the Diablo winds, meaning devil winds. Down in the south, they're called the Santa Anas, and they're dry and hot, and they blow from the east, having come across the desert and picked up lots of heat. So the combination of high winds and hot winds with the dryness of our forests now mean that any spark can create and Inferno, that right now, tonight, Healdsburg and Sebastopol are evacuated, not only Geyserville. So that means that the fire is going to jump 101, because Sebastopol's on that side, on the coast side. The fire began on the Sierra side. So it's one of those times, and looks like it's our new normal, that California is going to burn somehow. So we need to cope with that reality. And to underscore the drama, we're prepared for the lights to go out. So every word is golden, right? You may not get another one. We could lose our power tonight. So treasure each word. Oh, that was it. Oh, what did you hear? Yeah. Get the candles out. Let's light the candles. So it's funny to joke, but it's reality that they say 2.8 million people are probably going to be plunged into darkness. All of Marin County is going to go dark tonight. And they do it step by step. But how dire is the situation that after the lecture tonight, I'm going to show you a video that was captured by University of Nevada trail cams, who are somehow responsible for watching doing the fire watch on eastern Sonoma County. And they saw the Kincaid fire start, and you can watch it, how the current massive forest fire began. You could see it happen in time lapse in front of your eyes, and it's astonishing. And here's the irony. Our much maligned and possibly culpable Pacific Gas and Electric, our utilities, are solely only responsible for all of the tens of thousands of miles of mostly wire hanging in the air, right? That's the problem, is the old technology of stringing wire from condenser to amplifier through the trees is breaking down. The infrastructure is just not holding, especially with the dryness. And so PG&E said, well, we have an answer to that. We'll shut the power down. So where the fire started, the power had been shut down, but there were no particular warnings of anything happening up there, so they didn't lower the amperage in the cables. They didn't empty the cables, and a spark jumped. And they admitted, we caused this one. So we were reading in the car on the way down to Santa Cruz, PG&E stock, if anybody watches such thing, PG&E stock, according to this article, was $50 a share last week. 6 months ago, before they went bankrupt. And now it's $5 a share today, and they think it may hit zero after this last incident, because they simply are playing catch-up with wires and the grid, right? The infrastructure that delivers power to this lecture tonight, right? That allows me to turn that on. That's PG&E. They say it's just hasn't been attended to for too long. It's old and out of date, and who knows with the new situation. So that's I say, our meteorological context for tonight's lecture. So appreciate being able to hear the Dharma. So what do you have to do? You have to light your inner lamp, right? 点你心里的灯就好了. Don't rely on external light. Just light your own lamp, and then you're good, right? No matter when the power goes out, you're still intact. Okay, first thing we have to do is want to welcome our friends from Florida who are here, having traveled a long ways to get here. And here is the sutra's title, and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who brought it to us. And by the way, I also didn't appreciate our youngest engineer, Mito, who was over there bringing the lecture to us from the computer, learning how to do that at age 5? 6? 6. 6 and how much? How many months? 6 and 7. Yeah, closing in on 7. I know. Okay. So here's how we do it. That's good enough. That's our melody. We, instead of just hitting the wooden fish and the bell, which we did for years, we thought, why not bring it all the way across the ocean and use Western instruments to invoke spiritual presence. So here we go. We do the Chinese, it's down there on the bottom. Namo Dafang Guang Huayan Ji Huayan Hai Two more. One more. Man, that's sounding better and better and better every week. Lovely. Please, if you will, in your sutra text, turn to the actual very last page of our book. At this point, we've got more to come next week. But last week we talked about the king's crown, the crown on the king's head, and Brahma Heaven King's radiance and things like that. We're starting tonight on the second stanza. It says, on this stage, 住持多做大梵王, right there. Everybody find the spot? Okay, I'll give you a line. You give it back. 住持多做大梵王，以三圣法化众生，所行善业普绕益，乃至当成一切智。Okay, over to the right, page 97. Ready? With me in unison? Here we go. On this stage, most bodhisattvas serve as great Brahma kings and use the dharmas of the three vehicles to teach sentient beings. The wholesome karma they practice brings benefits to all, including their future realization of omniscience. The final concluding verses of what's called the ninth stage in a chapter called the 10 Stages, in a sutra called the Flower Garland, Huayan Jing, the Avatamsaka. We're at the very end of this piece of the chapter, and it's next to the last one. We come up to the 10th stage, next week, as a matter of fact. Boy, what a milestone. The 10th stage of the Dharma reign, the reign of Dharma, Fa-yu-di, is a really climactic chapter. There's definitely a sense of fulfillment, and summary, and accomplishment, and celebration, and it's the next step after that stage is Buddhahood, right? With one in between. But it's called equal enlightenment, and then miao-ju, wonderful enlightenment. So the bodhisattva at that point is almost graduated. Still got a couple more classes to take, but not much different from Buddhahood. Now, that's where we are, and we're wrapping up. This is boilerplate. You know, people know the word boilerplate. I mean, it happens time after time. It's kind of automatic. And the boilerplate part is what? It's a summary of the external circumstances of somebody who's studied to this point. What's it like? What's boilerplate? Are you a doctor? Are you an MD? If you're an MD, you have special license plates. Did you know that? Doctors have MD license plates. So now it's game day at what's the name of Cal Stadium? The Greek Theater. The Greek Theater is next door. It's Cal Football Stadium. It's game day, right? And can you drive up and stand outside the players' gates and honk your horn and have the gates open and your car can go inside? No. Can you park your car anywhere near the stadium? No. Right? Doctors with their license plates drive right up, honk, honk, MD plates, gates open, they go right inside. What is it? It's called a perk? No, it's called earned. It's what comes with being a medical doctor, an MD. You're a valuable person, you have different status, and with it comes these qualities, these attributes, okay? If you're a lawyer, if you are a jurisprudence doctor, a JD, right? You put those initials after your name, and you have privileges that people without those initials don't have. What does it indicate? You're a professional. You've put in the time. You've paid the tuition. You've taken the courses. You've passed the tests. You've read the books. So those are perks that come along. They're boilerplate. You could say they're automatic, just being a doctor. If you wear a robe like this and have a haircut like this, what are some of the perks? People give you tea. That's one of the perks. They just, lots of tea. So, yeah, that's the perks of being a monk. And if you go to Asia, you're not allowed to carry a suitcase if you look like we do. If you reach for your suitcases, 3 hands are there. Oh, Fasher, I'll help you take that, right? And you get off the airplane back in America, and the bag is there, and if you walk away from it waiting for somebody to pick it up, the bag is sitting right there. It's like, oh, you forgot your bag, monk. You know, oh, okay. Different culture, different perks, right? So here our bodhisattva on this stage is mostly, it says, do, so it means not every case. They appear in the Dharma realm of a god. What kind of god? A god in the form realm, also known as the Brahma heaven. And they are a Da Fanwang, beyond Maheshvara. They're one of the gods there are 28 levels of heavens in the form realm, and they're in the upper echelons. That's how they're reborn. That's the body part. Inside, they're bodhisattvas in the 9th stage, but they appear not necessarily as a human, certainly not in the hells or the animals or the ghosts. They're not asuras, they're devas, and that's where their karma brings them there. Now, what do they do there? They use the 3 vehicles dharma to teach sentient beings. What would that be? They talk about Buddhas, they talk about bodhisattvas, they talk about arhats, the various things that carry. A vehicle carries you along. So they teach the Four Noble Truths, they teach the 12 links, conditioned arising, creation, basically, Buddhism's creation story. Or they talk about the perfections, the paramitas. That's what they use to teach, and it depends on what people can hear. I had an awareness, I think I was in Amaravati Buddhist Monastery, and I was listening to people, I think it was the audience was, I'm rebuilding this in my memory. It was a Sri Lankan Buddhist community, and one of the British monks at Amaravati was addressing the Sri Lankans. The Sri Lankans come out big for the Thai monks of Ajahn Chah's tradition. So if you go to Amaravati in England, you find as many Sri Lankans as you find Thais, as you find Caucasian UK subjects. So there they were, and the bhikkhu who was explaining to them was gently encouraging the Sri Lankan community that it was okay to meditate. And that if they meditated, they would get peace and happiness, and good things would come. Rewards would come, right? And it was like I was, click, 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 click in my mind, because most of you here in a Mahayana context, monastery, understand that meditation is definitely a choice. What kind of meditation are you doing? You doing vipassana? You counting your breath? Anapanasati? Are you looking into a huato? Are you doing the great, compassion contemplation? Many, many kinds of meditation. But it is not the case in the Sri Lankan Buddhist world necessarily. Things are changing. That it's automatically understood that lay people can or should, whether it's good to meditate. And it's not exclusively a Sri Lankan thing. I remember we had old Gogwan, who was the cook at Taipei Fajie. People remember. Gogwan is an old-fashioned, traditional layman. And he came here to visit. And he saw what we were doing in the evening. And we had a meditation class with women and men sitting here. And he went, wait. He said, wait a minute. There are women in there. Are you teaching them to meditate? He said, yeah, we are. He said, no. In his mind, women shouldn't be taught or encouraged to meditate. Nothing but trouble down that road, he said. I'm like, this is Berkeley, don't say that out loud here, So it's like, in his mind, there was gender difference in meditation skills and, And I said, have you talked to Dharma Master Heng Sure about this? Because Heng Sure is a strong meditator and advocate, a teacher of Chan. And he said, no, I don't never talk to her about that. That's a mistake, in his mind. So, what's the point of this? The word is jiyuan, potentials. Everybody has a different set of potentials. And occasionally in the sutra, you hear something talk about Da Cheng Gen Xing, the Mahayana nature. Or you'll hear Ding Xing Luo Han, fixed nature arhats. And it was like, what's that all about? Weren't there great debates about, didn't great master Dao An say that even the rocks had a sentient nature and would, when he spoke Dharma, they nodded their heads? After he defended the fact that Ichantikas, these beings who were deficient in faith, could also hear the Dharma. Right. We've been over this territory before, not necessarily. There are still pockets of Dharma where certain people only can absorb certain teachings. Interesting. That it's fixed by nature. I never heard Master Hua say that, but look at this. Why would you use 3 vehicles to teach living beings? Because some can only hear to a certain point. Now, is that too abstract? Let's say you got a really nice lawn And in California, we don't talk about lawns in California. Nobody, I mean, if I were walking through Berkeley, I probably couldn't find a lawn to show you. We dug up our lawn. We had the best lawn in downtown Berkeley until the drought happened. But if you go to Toledo, Ohio, if you go to Lexington, Kentucky, if you go to, suburban Atlanta, you know what you find? Lawns. People really out there pouring the right kind of mix and aerating their lawn, because the neighbors will comment if your lawn looks scraggly. Yeah, it's true. We've just been noticing, do you have enough time? We'd be happy to fertilize your lawn for you so the neighborhood looks good, Mind your own business, No, people do come and talk to you about your lawn if it is subpar, So, okay, you take that grass this big, and you dump gallons and gallons of water on it, and you might drown it. You might ruin the potentially green lawn. But if you have a redwood tree, and this morning we had redwoods this morning. We were surrounded by the tallest trees. To see the sky, you do that, a little bit of blue up there. If you take a redwood and you sprinkle a little bit of water on it, it's not enough, right? The grass needs a little bit of sprinkle. The redwood needs gallons. Every tree, every living thing has a different capacity, and people are the same. So our bodhisattva has to teach according to vehicles, quote, i.e. your potential to absorb, right? You want to see that in action, go get a copy of the Dhammapada. How many people have read the Dhammapada who know? Fa Ju Jing, okay, all of you are Dharma Realm Buddhist University students, I noticed that. There's a reason for that, yeah. So, the Dhammapada, Fa Ju Jing, is one of those transition texts that has both Mahayana elements and Theravada elements in it. It belongs to that early phase of the Buddhist teaching called the Ehan Shidai, the Agama's time. And what is in the Dhammapada? It's lots of homilies, lots of analogies using things of nature, right? Like bows and arrows, like shepherds and cowherds, like wells and buckets, like parents and children, right? Teachings like that. So when you hear it, like, yep, I get the point, right? That's that kind of dharma. When you read it, you know the word, it's comfortable. It's really comfortable because I get it right away. I've already got a category inside that can deal with things like crops and water, and sharing and no greed, things like that. And that's a perfectly fine Dharma teaching aimed at certain people or me at certain times in my life. I want to hear it straight, simple, natural, uncomplicated. I don't have to activate other parts of the brain to grasp it, right? But then other times, you pick up what our ninth stage talked about that we're going to review in a minute, which is advanced capacities of the mind to communicate in ways that boggle the imagination. That the Buddha says, yeah, absolutely, this is imprinted on your root hard drive. You've got those circuits, that mental software is there, light them up. Do it, right? And here's how. And you go, it's impossible, I've never heard of such. And the sutra says, well, step by step by step, this is the ninth stage, where are you? Well, I'm not quite at stage 1. Yeah, well, go for it. Nothing's holding you back other than your own lack of faith in your inherent Buddha nature. So anyway, yeah, so 3 vehicles, all these different ways of teaching people's different capacities to hear. Okay, the wholesome karma they practice brings benefits to all. including their future realization of omniscience. Okay, what does that say? 所行善业普绕义. Everything that these bodhisattvas do in the ninth stage has the sense of connecting with other people and other beings. It's not just for their own amusement, distraction. It's not for their own, present, past, or future benefit. They do it with a sense of connection, benefiting all. They are ultimate liberals, right? Niger Dangcheng Ichie all the way to the awakening, to the wisdom of everyone. I had an awareness this morning. It was funny, talking about how would the Bodhisattva do this, and we had 80 people down in Boulder Creek in the Redwoods this morning, and this is the first time that probably 75 of those 80 people had ever seen our property. We have this retreat center called Redwood Chan Vihara, Hongmu Chanling. And I had gone in to set up a new Buddha image that we had brought down. It came from the monks from the Buddhist Association of China. We took it down and set it up. And took a little bit of time to do that, bowed to the Buddha, came downstairs, and went outside, and our monk in charge of the work detail, Jin Husher, had plugged in the wireless mic. We had a little portable PA, and he had been giving everybody the outline of the jobs today, what had to be done. And he was pointing out all our rakes and weed eaters and hand snippers and big loppers and power tools. Some are the machetes and the 4-stroke power tools you had to mix with oil to make sure you don't screw up the engine. And I came down and he said, and now Heng Sure will talk to you about the tours, the schedule today. And I'm like, I will? Oh, I guess I will. And I handed me the mic, and I'm standing there, and everybody I can see there's this feeling of apprehension. It's like, we want to help them. I don't know about a 4-stroke engine. I'd never tried a machete, and is that dangerous? And he'd also try to mention ticks. And, first, here's the first aid in case you cut yourself. Make sure that we get, And the feeling was the energy was like on their tiptoes and uncertain because the heart was all there to make it all work, but this too much information and it's too scary, we just arrived, where am I? And so spontaneously, I thought, okay, here's what we do. Put your feet on the ground and understand that, and I slowed my voice down and I breathed deeply between every sentence and understand that our bodies and the earth are the same. Inhale, right? And that we're going to recycle. And do you know where you are? Take a look. I said, first of all, let's breathe through that connection with our feet and the earth. Where's your lungs? I said, we're all are breathing up here. I could feel it. Everybody was like, getting ready for the scary part, And it's like, let's pull the breath, breathe in here. And I would stop half sentence and exhale. Good. Now, your feet are still like bouncing back. Put them on there. Oh, okay. And I said, no, what does it smell like here? And the smell, and it was still chilly because it's chilly in the redwoods. The sun has to get up here before it filters through these tall 100-foot trees, right? I said, we're surrounded by the world's oldest living beings. There's only 5% of them left. How much wood is here? Can you feel? you know. And I went on like this. And after about 5 minutes, everything had changed. And people were like, yeah, it is kind of nice here. I didn't notice that. I was too scared, you know. I said, we'll get to the work part, but first of all, let's just all breathe together. How does it smell? Can you feel the light? It's red and it's green here. People are like, is it? Is it red and green? Oh, nice, you know. So simply by grounding everybody in putting their bodies into the redwood forest, the energy changed. And Heng Sure himself, who was carrying a lot of weight, you know, Heng Sure was concerned. He'd been preparing for weeks for this thing, and he wanted it to go well, you know. But we had to get everybody out of their cars because they've been spinning through this Highway 9 twisty-turny S-curves to get there. And so I had no more plan to say those things than I had planned to, you know, to try to cook lunch myself. No way. But that was what was needed at the time. And I can appreciate how the Bodhisattva in this stage actually knows what he's doing. He actually can see living beings' potentials and can speak to them in a way that connects without error, without mistake. 一念所入诸三昧，而生其差为陈述。见佛说法以复然，愿力所作复过此。All the samadhis that he masters, she masters within a single thought, are as many as fine particles of dust in asankhya's of lands. She sees Buddhas and speaks dharma in the same scale, and if she employs the power of vows, they exceed that number. This is also boilerplate. This is said every chapter, every stage. At this point, the summary. Here in the chapter, samadhis were the big thing, and dharani. We'll get to that in a minute. All the samadhis this bodhisattva can, the Chinese says ru, but we're using masters. We could also say immerses in, becomes, would also work. All the samadhis that settle in this bodhisattva's nature within a single thought. How many? As many as, here's a number, here's an Avatamsaka number. Asang qi cha wei chen shu. You take a cha, which is a land. Let's say California is a land, all right? How many asamkhiyas of those, a countless number of Californias, how many fine particles of dust will you find in countless numbers of Californias? That's a lot, right? That many samadhis this bodhisattva can master. Okay, when you hear that, one thing to do is dismiss it. That's ridiculous. Nonsense, right? That's one response. Another response is to say, how is that even countable? What is a samadhi and how does he do it? And another response would be to say, I wonder if my mind has that potential as well. How do you get there? The Buddha is not saying this to be hyperbolic. He's not trying to use hyperbole to make us go, whoa, dude, you know, amazing. He's not. This is factual. It's a Dharma textbook. And that's what the Bodhisattva at this stage of his or her development can do. Furthermore, boilerplate says, Bodhisattva sees Buddhas here. That's what else he or she can do. Buddhas appear. You see them. And speaks Dharma in that same number. And further, as the boilerplate says, should the Bodhisattva use the vows, which are mostly transference, saying, may this ability connect with all beings. And you make it bigger, then there's even more. They exceed that number. 此是地就善慧地，大智菩萨所行处，神深微妙难可见，我为佛子以宣说. This is the ninth stage of wholesome wisdom, where bodhisattvas practice their great wisdom. It's profound and wondrous and difficult to perceive. I've now proclaimed it for you, disciples of the Buddha. Conclusion, that's the end. Could everybody turn to 74 and 75? I want to take us back. We're going to summarize, take a look at it again, because it went by quickly, and part of this was lectured from Australia. So you saw it on a big screen here in the Buddha Hall, or you saw it at home on your own screen, and it's worth looking at again. What's going on? Our Bodhisattva at this point has passed all his tests, or her test. Use the pronoun you prefer. He or she is now at the point of being what's called a Da Fa Shi, a great teacher of Dharma. And in this ninth stage, there's a lot of time spent on talking about speaking Dharma, lecturing, teaching, the actual pedagogy, the actual practice of how you communicate with people the principles you want to share, you want them to absorb. How do you do it? Look at page 74 and 75. There are 10 examples of what are called 4 kinds of wisdom that is never obstructed. 四无碍智, also known as 四无碍辩, the 4 unimpeded qualities of eloquence. This bodhisattva can really, really, really talk. Oh boy. This bodhisattva can say things that you get. And it's not so people will praise his silver tongue or her silver tongue. It's so that you understand in a way you've never heard it before. That's the quality of eloquence. And the 4, they come 10 times. This is a fairly lengthy chapter. I just wanted to, page 75 is a perfect example. Okay? So, the first is called unobstructed wisdom of dharmas. You could also say dharma. Probably with a capital D it should be dharma, not dharmas, not plural but singular. Unobstructed wisdom of dharmas. What is it? Here's the explanation. He knows the Buddha's words, powers, fearlessness, special dharmas, great kindness, great compassion, eloquence, and expedience, turning the dharma wheel, omniscience, and how to realize wisdom. What is that? That's the Buddha's teaching. And this bodhisattva is good at it. He's got those principles and practices, and you know it. When he talks about it, it's like, yeah, it's real. It's not a phony. It's not a show. It's not words merely, right? That's one. So, number 1 is dharma. Number 2 is what? Unobstructed wisdom of meanings. What does it say? He knows how Buddha's voices accord with 84,000 differences in the mind's practices, faculties, and understandings of you. The person sitting beside you walked a different path to get here tonight, right? The person sitting in front of you, the same. Behind you, the same. And this bodhisattva knows how a Buddha can go beep and precisely pinpoint what you know, what you understand, what you can hear, what you're capable of, how vigorous you are, etc., right? So that's meaning, right? The meanings. This bodhisattva can express them all. Boom. Never at a loss for the right word at the right time to connect with you. So you go, ah. The light comes on. You know, the light bulb, click, boing. You get it, right? 明白, 我明白. Number 3 is what? Phrasing. The unobstructed eloquence or the wisdom of phrasing, which is, look, this bodhisattva now talks according to practices of living beings. What does that mean? It means, what language do you speak? That bodhisattva can totally speak it. using the differentiated voices or sounds of a Buddha. We had a Australian bhikkhu here earlier in the week. Venerable came, and we were laughing because he's originally from New South Wales, but there are corners of Queensland, deep Queensland, where Aussies speak English, and I don't understand them. I have to go, I beg your pardon? She's right, mate. Yeah, this is the only uptake, right? You know, and it's like, no, I just don't speak Aussie. You know, and he was laughing because he's sometimes when it gets thick, you know, it's like you have to parse it out. And my goodness, less so. Boy, in my lifetime, there's been a change in standard American English. Right? In the past, before network TV. Radio didn't do it, because radio was local, pretty much. There was ABC, NBC, but still. In the past, before network television, when you could watch, you know, when you could listen to, what was his name? Walter Cronkite, right? Walter Cronkite was one of the first big media news stars. Walter Cronkite announced the assassination of Kennedy and the moonshot. His voice, you know. Before that, regional accents and their differences were huge in America. Right? Boston, yeah, to go to the party with you. What are the phrases? There's the perfect Boston phrase. Anybody know what it was? Any Harvardians here? You take your hat to the party. I forget how it goes. But ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country, says, you know, a Harvardian. All right, and then you go down to Georgia, and oh my goodness, well, I just all we have is some grits, and I don't speak like they do in Charleston. Charleston is another world. You know, we got some ham hocks, and we got some. Everything is nice, and the vowels get, you know, chewed on a bit, you know. And then you go to Texas, and it's another, you know, howdy, partner. No, I got a couple hundred head out there, you know, and just put some more barbecue sauce on, and we'll be ready for drinks at 5 after I hustle up some of them heifers, you know. And that Texas is a little slower, flatter. But then you get to California, and the Valley Girls of California. I mean, really? I mean, come on. I mean, like, no, I'm all that. No, what? So I like, no. And really different. And Seattle is a different accent. And then there's Canada. My father came from Quebec. Yeah. Oh, no. It's all right. No, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It's all right. No. You know, Canada's different again. Regional accents in America are distinct. Not anymore. Network television blasted that out. So it's rare to find somebody who actually speaks anymore. And the internet, my goodness. We can plug in the whole world now. So, my goodness, here's a bodhisattva who, with the eloquence of phrasing, speaks according to the practices of sentient beings, and everybody gets it right away. I mean, how do I sound to folks in deep, dark Queensland? Yankee. You're just a Yank, you know. Hopeless. So, flat. I have a Midwestern accent, flat, you know. So, by golly, what a gift comes out of this bodhisattva's nature. And we haven't even gotten to the last one, which is what? Joy in speech. Remember Irma Bombeck, the joy of cooking? This is the joy of speech. This bodhisattva, using the Tathagata's pure practices of wisdom, speaks according to what you believe and what you understand to make you happy. Does the bodhisattva enjoy speaking? Of course he does, but it's you derive joy from listening to this person talk. It's like, that's wonderful. I never heard language do that, touch that place and open up my understanding of myself and where I came from and where I should be going. What are my options? When you hear this language, you feel more free. Is that a hint? No. This is language used to liberate, right? I watch a lot of dog videos on YouTube. I confess, I do. The dodo, you ever been tuned into dodo? Dodo's really good. It's like happy animal stories. It's such a relief compared to the other amount of news coming in to the computer. So my favorites are turn the camera on, watching the dog waiting for the owner to come home from work, right? And the car is not even pulled into the driveway, and the dog is like, and just start to wag, like that, wag, wag, wag. And the owner comes in, and the dog is just beside himself with joy at seeing their dearest friend in the entire world, who they only saw, a couple hours earlier, said goodbye to them, and now they're back, and the dog is just, the world is fresh and wonderful, joyful. We got, let's see here, 2 empty seats in the front for people who are coming in the back. Good. Waiting for you. All right. So, anyway, that's undiluted joy from a straight, uncovered nature of a dog. Just so thrilled to have the most important human being in the world come in and pat him on the head, right? And the voice of the master is RCA. Remember RCA's logo in the past? His master's voice, right? And the dog is staring into that speaker cone, right? That tells the story right there. Joy in speech. This bodhisattva turns living beings into pets, right? No, kidding. But you don't have to wag your tail. Here. Please speak dharma. So, yeah. So those are the 4, right? What were they? Dharma, meaning, phrasing, how you say it, and then pure delight in the process of utterances. How magic is the power of speech, right? Have everybody been following the latest on whale songs? Right? Remember? The earliest discovery that whales sing must have been 20 years ago. Now, this is incredible. There are researchers who totally get in there and compare the songs of whales, and they have enough of a database to compare them. And what they've discovered is that whales pick up new songs based on where they've traveled. There are certain places where these songs are current, and if a whale has passed through that place on their migration, they pick up that song, carry it with them, and sing it at another place. And they've heard songs be carried from whale to whale depending on where they pass through. Who knew that, I wonder if there's styles. You suppose there's whale hip-hop, can you imagine? Rhyming and spitting. Folk music. And so, what kind of sentience is required, or brain chemistry, to have an ability to absorb and then retain melody? And I've listened to some of the songs that the whales pick up and sing, and it's not my genre, I don't. It's not my Spotify list, but it's fascinating to think that whales and music are, the largest bodied creature on the planet, are also music fans, music lovers. and communicate via music, right? So, okay, what have we got? We have a bodhisattva who, in the ninth stage, is a Da Fa Shi, a great teacher of Dharma, and he or she, first of all, prior to this, the eloquences, the wisdoms, they have gone through the consciousness of living beings. And there's page after page of listing of an inventory of what it means to be a living being. What do we know? The bodhisattva masters the inner landscape of a human, of a god, of a ghost, of a deva, right? And so that's their first thing. Why? Because they're going to fix us. And they have to know what's wrong and what's right with us. So in terms of medical doctor, MD, bodhisattvas in the ninth stage go to school to learn everything about living beings. Okay, so far so good. Then what? Then they pick up, by listening to Buddhas, these abilities to communicate. Okay, so far so good. We still with us here? Then, what do they pick up? Look at page 75. See the break? Look at next. Disciples of the Buddha, the bodhisattva who stays on the ninth stage, gets unobstructed wisdom of expedient skills, gets the Tathagata's storehouse of wondrous Dharma, and becomes a great Dharma master. Next, she gets the Dharani of long list, meanings, dharmas, wisdom, lights, wholesome wisdom, multitudes of riches, awesome virtue, gateways to non-obstruction, boundlessness, myriad meaning, etc., etc. Okay? What happens next to this bodhisattva is called Dharani. What is Dharani? It's something that you got buried in your makeup. I've got it in mine, waiting to be powered up, right? What is it? The ability to use language at a whole new level. You now speak in a way that you didn't know you could, right? This is when we were first introducing this. This is my quickest available example, right? Let's do A440. Right? I want you to hear that. And hidden in this string is what? That note. Same string, same right hand, but I bisect it exactly halfway, and listen. A different pitch, right? Called a harmonic. It's been there all along, but if you don't touch it there, you don't know it's there. Here's a D. Here's the harmonic. That pitch is there, but if you don't touch it, you don't bring it out. It's as if it wasn't there. Likewise, in all of our makeup is this ability for Dharani. The Chinese call it Toloni, and we don't have a good translation. It's 总持 is the way you'd parse it, and it's summarizing all dharmas and holding on to limitless meaning. That's Dharani. It's a sound. It's something that you make a sound. But when you can do it, oh boy, do we have any Dharani that you know about? How about the Great Compassion Mantra? That's a Dharani. What about the Shurangama Mantra? That's a Dharani, right? Dharani, mantra, and what's called zhenyan, true words, are pretty much da tong xiao yi. Mostly the same, but different a little bit. Okay, this bodhisattva has now got incredible abilities with Dharani, which means what? Which means he is able to communicate as never before. When he speaks, you get it. Okay? That's what the sutra wants us to know. Okay, we're moving on here. Page 70, turn over, 76. Don't hit the table. Okay, 76. show you. I'm going to skim here, no disrespect to the text. I'm in the middle paragraph. The Bodhisattva sees a Buddha, bows, and as soon as he sees him and bows, the Chinese says, he ding li, tou ding li jing, bows in respect, ji yu fo suo. Right then, on the spot where the Buddha is, de wu liang fa men, gets immeasurable numbers of dharma gateways, fa men. Things happen to that bodhisattva with that bow. Things open up to de fa men. To get a dharma door, to get a dharma practice means suddenly your meditation, your Buddha recitation, your mantra practice, all of those things connect with you and start to function. You and the Dharma are one and the same. And then what? The gateways to Dharma he gets couldn't be realized by Shravakas, no matter what. Having realized these Dharanis and this wisdom, the Bodhisattva sits on the seat of Dharma and starts to teach. Okay? The Dafa Shi now sits down and begins to function for the first time. This is the 9th stage's turning point. Okay? We're reviewing this 9th stage, right? You're all with me, what we're doing? And this is where something, if this were a movie, the Bodhisattva would now, sits down and takes a deep breath and starts to teach. Okay? He speaks individually to lots of beings, and he's remarkable. He speaks to each according to whatever beings like, whatever their minds find the best. Whatever they like, that's what the Bodhisattva can say. Okay, moms, when was the last time you spoke to your teenage son and he went, oh, okay. Right? Mostly it's like, roll the eyes. I was good at that. My poor mom, she suffered a lot. Mom! You just got to get ready for that because that's what they're going to, it's like teenage boys have to get distance from mom for a while. Then they come back and appreciate you later. But moms have to get used to, having that response from that living being that lives there in your house. That alien creature called a teenager, right? So imagine if everything you said, your teenager went, right away, Mom. I'd love to. Not going to happen. Not yet. Wait. Right? Maybe. So this bodhisattva, according to whatever their minds find delightful, boop, and no matter who it is, it's like, yeah, oh, sure, of course, right away. And look, when this bodhisattva takes his seat of Dharma, he can, turning point, again, with a single utterance, bring everyone gathered there to understand. Okay, this is the first time we've heard in the 9th stage the rest of the chapter. This is the turning point. And like I say, if we just, abstracted this out, we would probably go, too far out, too crazy. But this is the turning point for the rest of the chapter. Inside the bodhisattva, in there, if you accept the basic understanding of the Avatamsaka this is a map of your mind. This is not some alien creature called a bodhisattva who on another planet called Kryptonite is able to do things that you can't. No, this is a map of my mind before thoughts and language, and opinions and loves and hates. We too have the potential to, with a single utterance, bring everybody in front of you to understanding. Okay, the rest of the text builds on that, and it extrapolates it, it evolves it, makes it more incredible, right? Not only does everybody come to understanding, but they love what they hear. And it goes exponentially. So infinite numbers of living beings hearing a single sound from the Bodhisattva go, oh, now I get it. Oh, thank you. I didn't understand that before. That's great. You know, like, so there we go. That's our review. That's what I wanted to share. So page 78 here. Okay, from turn to page 79, 78, 79. This is a list of the incredible ways the Bodhisattva teaches, sitting there. So we have our Dafasher, our great, vast, skillful teacher. What does he do? He uses a myriad utterances, says a lot, right? 种种音声, many voices to get you to understand, right? Can you imagine voices, right? Speaks Malaysian English, voices go way up high and back down. Delightful. Yeah, I can't do it. You'd laugh. But if Jin Husher were here, he could illustrate Malaysian English. So it's like the available range in Malaysian English is way higher than somebody from Cleveland, right? Cleveland, we pretty much talk like this, you know, and it's just all like that, you know. But I'm like, oh, very good. Yes. No, right away. Can do. You know. So, and other times, light. Bodhisattva uses light. And there are beings right this minute in the heavens who communicate with light. Not sound, but light, right? Sometimes the sound of Dharma comes from the skin, says the sutra. How weird is that? Right? Each and every skin pore speaks Dharma. Okay. Yeah. Now, other times, objects proclaim the sound of the wondrous Dharma. Oh, it's getting out there. This is far out, right? Flowers, photographs, bells, right? Redwood needles. What would it be? At times, he utters a single sound that goes throughout the Dharma realm. So the sound doesn't decay with distance. Okay? Listen to, at other times, all sounds whatsoever become sounds of Dharma, abiding constantly and never stopping. It's building and building, right? I like this next one. Sometimes musical sounds in all worlds, reeds, flutes, bells, drums, songs, hymns, expresses the sounds of Dharma. So, in Gansu province, in a place called Dunhuang, where there are cave paintings done, they were put on the wall 1,400 years ago. And you can go into those caves and have the wall with the painting on it in front of you like this, so you can, you know, you don't touch it, but you don't want to breathe on it either, you know, but it's right there in front of you. And what is it? It's a deva playing a pipa. You can hear the sound coming off those strings. It's so lifelike and so recognizable as a Chinese lute called a pipa. And over there's somebody playing a guqin. Clearly it's a guqin. Over here is somebody playing a dizi, you know, the flute. And it's like, yeah, that was put on the wall by an artist in the Tang, and I'm looking right at it, and I recognize it. And where did time and space go? Right? So music, my goodness. And there's always, if there's a string and a woodwind section over here, there's a percussion section over there, playing on various Indian drums and Chinese drums. And you go far out. Right? You all understand far out, right? You don't have to be a hippie from the 70s to understand. Far out. Man, oh man, Who would think, that this Dunhuang was buried for 500 years. Nobody knew that under the sand were all these caves with this art. That's probably why it's still available, because for 500 years nobody was breathing on it. It wasn't oxidizing, right? But there it is. And, oh my goodness. So, the Bodhisattva fills a single syllable full of many sounds, words, and phrases. One syllable has lots of dharma in it. So, okay, check this one out. Sometimes all the fine particles of dust in the great accumulations of earth, water, fire, and air in, here's a number, more world systems than you can describe from within each mode of dust, talk about indescribably many methods of practice of dharma. Everything happens according to his thoughts without exception. It's not random. This is precise. This is skillful, right? It looks effortless. It ain't effortless. There's lots of work involved. So, how about that? Did we all, I know we went through this in a hurry, but maybe you weren't there for that lecture. But boy, when I reviewed it tonight, getting ready for the thought, it was like, that's just amazing. And as I say, the basis for this text is the assumption that it's not fantasy. This is not science fiction. This is not some author's imagination, right? This is the Buddha saying, yeah, it's a blueprint. You do it, you can build it. Then it works. How neat is that? See here. Everybody have a songbook? One of the perks of my job, speaking of which, is that somehow with these conditions I get to make sounds on the world's finest guitars. And this is yet another Alberico built by our friend Fab. And this guitar sounds so good. Page 102 in your songbook. I was interested in, actually, I'll tell you what, instead of 102, let's look at (104). Turn over one more. Because, why? Even Greta Thunberg, right? Bless her heart. Our 14-year-old prophetic young woman who, through whose voice important things were said to the world. Even Greta, I didn't hear her saying, you want to do something immediately to slow down the process of climate change? Stop eating meat today. Remove those large-bodied animals from the rainforest, where they're now cutting down those precious breathing trees at the rate of a soccer pitch a minute, football field per minute, for pasture so that a few people can eat their bodies as hamburgers and as steaks. That's why. And the methane that comes out of the tailpipe of those cows and pigs destroys the ozone and the important layers faster than emissions from internal combustion engines. Says who? The United Nations. Climate research says that. Nobody's talking about it, right? Only the veggies and the vegans and the weirdos are talking about what we do on the dinner table having anything to do with climate change. And it's just so in front of us, and nobody wants to acknowledge it, right? So ironic. Even, well, Al Gore, bless his heart, Al Gore finally gave up meat. Every burger had a mother, no more creature should die. Think about it. Don't ask me to eat my brother, no more creatures must die. I love life and I love kin, you're related to me. I love the skin I was born in, you're related to me. For every dinner, every day, no more creature should die. Billions killed in the cruelest way, grinding up male chicks in a grinder. No more creatures must die. You love life and you love kin, you're related to me. You love the skin you were born in, you're related to me. When I think of the meat I've eaten, no more creatures must die. See the faces of the lives I've taken, no more creatures should die. You got feathers, you got fins, you're related to me. You got fur and you got wings, you're related to me. I want no faces on my dinner plate, no more creatures should die. No eyes look back with fear and hate, no more creatures must die. The calf can hear his mother cry, they're related to me. She must know they're about to die, you're related to me. I don't remember who I've been, you're related to me. Fur or feathers, scales or skin, you're related to me. I love life and I love kin, you're related to me. I love the skin I was born in, you're related to me. You think, yeah, that would make a difference if we just ate things that grew in the ground. How many people, how many resources does it take to make one burger that you eat and maybe you want two, right, to be full, compared to putting those same resources into things you can turn into bread and pasta and cereal and waffles and pancakes. How many people can you feed with the same resources? Do the math. Page 102. And my other whining gripe, if I could change things right now, one of the saddest, most horrific, despicable things that humans do is called clear-cutting forests. For a pittance profit, you destroy something that took the planet how many tens of thousands of years to grow, and in a matter of minutes, you reduce it to a dead space on the planet. What kind of karmic retribution happens to people who go and nothing grows after they do that? Turning what they get into chips for somebody's toilet paper, you know. My tall fir trees touch the sky, where eagles raise their young. Timber wolves would serenade, sing along if you want, where sundown song was sung, salmon swam home to their stream. Every year you'd find them there. Redwoods like cathedrals, every breath was like a prayer, Turtle Island lullaby. For the end of day, to ease us into twilight, send us on our way, we are all related. On this planet that we share, have we learned any lesson? Small blue marble in the air, you wasted all my topsoil. You fished my waters dry. You clear-cut my green trees. I can't breathe and I can't cry. What about your children? How far can you see? What we do to our neighbors becomes our destiny. Turtle Island lullaby, song for the end of day, us into twilight and send us on our way, we are all related. On this planet that we share, have we learned any lessons? Small blue marble in the air. Let's go over to the bridge. Good night to the salmon. Good night to the seals. Good night to the turtles. May your spirits be free. No one owns the fire. No one owns the air. No one owns the water. Earth's a gift to share, life itself is sacred. May we all one day be healed. May we find our great compassion when our kinship is revealed. Turtle Island lullaby, at the end of us into twilight and send the humans on our way. Oops, we are all related on this planet that we share. Have we learned any lesson? Small blue marble in the air. Why don't we sing the extra verses? Charles Gibbs, our dear friend, said, "Too harsh, Heng Sure. Don't include it." Okay, there we go. Golly, one more to do to dedicate, transfer the merit. Last page. Let's do it now, because we have some slides to share with everybody quickly. They are hot off the camera, indeed. So our beloved dentist, whose name I won't mention, brought his 5-year-old son down with us to Redwood Chan Vihara. And he said, pulled me over, he says, okay, he says to his boy, he says, you're going to do it? I'll get you started, but you're going to do it. You told me you would. Fasher's here. You can do it. And he's like 5 years old, like, oh, I don't want to, oh, okay, I'll do it. And Dad starts him out, and he goes, and I'm like, what's he going to, is it like some jingle or some nursery rhyme or something? And the boy goes, first is to worship and respect all Buddhas. Second is to praise the thus come. Comes out with Samantabhadra's 10 practices and vows from the Avatamsaka Sutra. And I'm like, what's the last? It's really good. My goodness. How wonderful to have the young one be able to recite a piece of the Avatamsaka Sutra. How nice is that at age 5? Boy, when I was age 5, I was singing Blatt's beer commercials and Goodrich tires and Ipana toothpaste, Not Shakespeare, not Plato, not the Avatamsaka. So let's dedicate merit as you care to do it. And I said to the young one, that last one, universally transfer merit and virtue everywhere. That's the real Bodhisattva's vow power. So let's do this and appreciate the opportunity to make sounds on this lovely guitar. Here we go. Our minds as one, radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow reap their friend. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay. Jin Husher, did the motorcyclist survive? Jin Husher was coming back and witnessed a motorcycle accident, all right, on Highway 9. Right? Say again? Yeah, was able to help until the paramedic arrived. So, yep. Okay, we'll bring the screen down, and then we'll give some announcements. Let's see, why don't we do the announcements while we're getting set up? Do you have your mic right there, Jin Chuan-Sher? Nice loud voice.
Okay, so please, Jing Fo Shi, add if I forget anything. I believe tomorrow, Sunday, October 27th, we have our family program here at Berkeley Buddhist Monastery starting at 1:30 to 4 o'clock, Jing Fosher? To 4:30. 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. has become very popular. I think we something like 40 or 50 people showing up for that. So you get a chance to see puppets and have some calligraphy and various dharmas for families. Pumpkin carving. Paint pumpkins. Okay, and then we have our regular dharma activities. I think Jean Weisher, Wednesday Stephen Tainer. Thursday we have James Baraz's group is having Eve Decker come. Eve Decker, right? Yeah, she's a Buddhist musician, so she'll be coming Thursday evening. Friday we have Marty giving an Avatamsaka lecture. He's going over the, I think chapter 10 of the Avatamsaka Sutra. And the following week, not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, we have the Abhayagiri monks coming. I believe Ajahn Pasna will be coming down to do the first Tuesday for Abhayagiri. And in terms of retreats, we have one coming up, I think the second week of December, the Amitabha recitation or Amitabha mindfulness retreat. You can go to extension.drbu.edu to find out details and sign up there. So if you have any questions or interest, please come talk to one of the monks here. Anything else? I think that's it. Okay.
Great. Thanks. Okay, I have not seen these. I don't know what we're looking at. Can somebody turn those lights out? Sorted by file name. Okay. So yesterday, Homero was here. He's not here now. I had to take his young son back. That's Homero in the blue shirt there. Homero invited me over to Pandora, where he is one of the executives, to their recording studio to record songs, as many as we could get. And we were thinking if we got 3 or 4, we'd be satisfied. We wound up with 12 songs, a lot of them on one take and happy. But this is David, the engineer, who had one of those ears, that can tell subtle differences. And look at the mics. These are called ribbon mics. They're fancy microphones. They're not condensers. They're not, what's the other kind? Condenser and diaphragm. And they're not tubes. They're a ribbon. And they're really fragile and magical. I've got one earphone on and one earphone off so I can hear my own voice there. These photos are all Jerry's contribution to the enterprise. See how skillful they're done. Here's Homero. Yeah, monk is buried behind all of the technology. Playing a banjo, Fabrizio's banjo. There it is. Oh, resonator. Twelve-string. All right. Jinwei Sure was there. Sandy was there supporting. Bad posture, monk. You sit up straight. There's a metal-bodied guitar. Octave mandolin. Okay, there we go. Songs. Right, that's the group. The lineup. With the microphone set up there, so there's Jerry. Okay, now this is kind of interesting. This is, how many are there? 70 today? Okay. These happened this morning. These photos are hot out of the camera. So this is Redwood Chand Vihara. You heard about it, now you get to see it. This is everybody getting the information. The sun has just barely broken through. Right? The sun is up here still. hasn't come down to where the people are. So it's chilly. Notice everybody's all dressed up. Sun is coming. Yeah. These are the colors of the Santa Cruz redwoods. Sunlight. Weather vane. Lunch. And then the work details. Boy, a lot of work got done today. Here's our neighbor Dan. Notice the house is made of redwood. Handmade. Heavy gear. Michael and his family from San Jose. This little one can really work. She's Dad's shadow. Snip. 4.5 years old. What are we doing? This is called Scotch broom. It's an invasive ground cover. And notice it's up over our heads already. And it just started probably in, maybe it was March or April. It was this big. And now by the autumn it's over your head. And we cleared a tiny patch with 30 people working on it. Turn your back, it'll all return. It'll all be back. This stuff. And the other part about Scotch broom is it's extremely flammable. It's full of oil. So when a cinder or a spark lands in this, wildfire. Alice and Tina. This is all Scotch broom. Look at how tall this gets. When it's small, you can uproot it. Otherwise, you just have to snip it off and catch it next year. Yeah, there you go. We made people work before they could eat, right? No, we didn't. Right. Two people pulling up one stalk. Is this video?
Yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Victory.
From the root?
Yeah.
Wow.
From the root.
How do you get from the root? Oh my goodness. They're so strong.
Yep. Oh. Millipede. Ooh. That's the San Lorenzo River at low tide. This is, there was some heavy work going on, building culverts and drainage. Autumn. Beautiful. This is that red and green light I was telling you about. I sit down and I wait for the Scotch broom to come to me. There we go. Dynamic. Weed whip. There's the professional's truck. Ken and the family. There we go. All right. Thank you for those. That was fun. Okay. Now, I'm going to suggest I was looking at the weather just before the lecture began, and the news was pretty scary. They said things like 2.8 million people are going to lose power starting at 5 p.m. tonight. Gradually, it'll be increased. They say all of Marin County is going dark, for example. The only place that is immune and exempt from power outage is San Francisco. So if you live in the city, congratulations. You won't lose your internet tonight. But everybody else, say, has a real good chance because of winds. There's an amazing windstorm happening starting tonight. And PG&E judges that it's better safe than sorry, so they're going to cut the power off. There were signs along the highway that said, if you come to a street light that is dark, take it as a stop sign, right? Suppose there's no power and the street lights are out, and you depend upon street lights to know when to go and when to stop, right? Treat that as a stop sign, just the way you, well, what is a four-way stop? Pull up to it, wait and watch, let the person on the right away, and then go. We got a phone call from PG&E as soon as I returned to the building. Jin Chuan Sher and I were listening to it, and it said, "This is a notice from Pacific Gas and Electric. If you would like to know when your blackout is scheduled, please go to, pgne.ps.ps and type in the code, your code for your area, XL46X593 H742X3. If you would like to hear this message again, it's like, wait, no. I was all ready to type, but it's 10 figures. Okay. So they're trying. They're really trying. And they know they're messing with our lives by shutting the power off. But what are you going to do? If you're PG&E and oh, shoot, I shut it down. Go to YouTube and type in Kincaid fire starting into YouTube, and you can see the current fire beginning. It's a time-lapse video taken by the University of Nevada cams, weather cams, and it's dark, it's at night, and there's a horizon, and there's and the smoke starts to pour, and that's the time that this current fire started. And they say it was PG&E transmission tower, that the power had been shut off, but the wires were still charged. Poor PG&E, they cannot win. And they will not. They're probably going to go out of business. So. Anyway, so that's our reality, and you all have to get home safely in the midst of all this. So try your best and keep your wits about you. Yeah. Okay, any questions or comments about that? Anybody have more knowledge? It's happening now. At the moment, nope. If you have solar and you're really off the grid, I suppose, potentially, that's the alternative. But in reality, all these lights, the ability to broadcast to Australia, How many, did you find how many people? 60? 60? 29 from China. Good. All right. Should we bow? See you all next week. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Nam